Oh, hey, what's up, guys? I've been doing a lot of special booster testing. I want to make a tier list video kind of explaining where the decks I think are going to fall power level wise, but I'm still not comfortable enough with a lot of the cards because there's so many that I don't want to like spread any misinformation, as well as I could just like regurgitate stats that we have from the Asian regions. But between, I believe, BT 18 and 19, there may have been the ban list. I could be wrong on that. They could have got the ban list right before or right when their BT18 started, and that could have changed a lot as well. But nonetheless, we are doing a lot of testing. Here I am on Dominion. I think Dominion's really good right now, which is why I felt justified testing it for the special booster stuff with the light support it got in the new Seraphimon, the Shadow Seraphi Black Yellow Ace. I think the card's really good, unsurprisingly, and I think it has a lot of advantage in being used in a deck like this. My opponent is a friend of mine, Tessero, who I'll link in the description below. Really good player, fantastic, one of the best purple players I know. If you have any questions for like purple stuff, I would always go to Tessero when it comes to like North American play. And Tessero is currently on the purple hybrid. This list, I think, is a bit more of a combo variant. So it's running like things like Death Slingers, it's running things like Rivals Barrage that you kind of want to mill from your own deck. And for those of you that don't know what the purple hybrid stuff really does, so it's just a hybrid deck. Like it can just kill you with like a bunch of like Tamer chip, and then it plays out a bunch of Tamers on deletion and stuff. So it kind of has like this endless like conga line of dudes and availability, as well as it plays very well from the trash. However, it has a secondary win con of like actually milling your opponent, so that way in these more grindy matchups, you can just kind of kill your opponent that way. And the way that it mills is this level 4 on field right now, the Velgramon, there you go, Velgramon. It has the when digivolving effect to mill a card for each color between your opponent's Digimon and Tamers. So let's say I have blue and yellow right now, and they digivolved. They would mill 2 cards from themselves and 2 cards from you, which isn't a huge amount, but they also gain the bonus effect of getting plus 4k DP there, because they get 1000 DP for every single card milled by that effect, I believe. I don't think it's just a SAG effect, it's just by that effect specifically. And then it has the end of attack effect, which is really good as well, giving it a lot more utility, that says delete this Digimon and then delete all of your opponent's lowest level Digimon, which is why my Salamon ended up getting delete there. It's a surprisingly really strong card. I think that if you look at it, you're like, oh, you mill like 2 or 3 cards from your opponent and then you pop their lowest level. It doesn't feel that great, but the on deletion effects you tend to get underneath the body is really good, in my opinion, because the Duskmon, which is the counterpart, the humanoid version compared to the animal version of the hybrid, has the when digivolving effect to give your opponent, when you change one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamer's colors to something else, which is actually exceptionally disrupted. I fucked up, by the way, here. I played out the I promoted the Pillowmon and then tried using the Dominion effect. It's actually devastating. Listen, I'm not a Dominion player, all right? I very rarely have played this deck. I think this is unironically like my first or second time piloting it, so please cut me some slack. Don't worry. All right, the games will get better as I release more and more of my testing videos and stuff. But back to the purple hybrid stuff. The Duskmon, when digivolving, change the color of something on your opponent's field until the end of the turn. And then when attacking, you can digivolve, I believe, either for reduced cost of 1 or for no cost into a hybrid in your trash. And it specifies, by the way, not digivolve. It specifies that one of your Tamers or Digimon may digivolve instead, which makes it a lot more flexible, because you can swing in with the Dusk and then get one of your other Tamers to digivolve as well, so that way you get that extra check-in. Let's say you have like 1 or 0 memory left, it would really be a nice little niche effect in that instance. So the typical combo would be, go on top of one of the Kenichis, either the mono purple one, so that way you get the on deletion to gain a memory, or that the purple yellow one, so that way you can add a card back to hand. Usually it'll be the Duskmon, so you'll digivolve into the Kenichi into Dusk for 2, swing in, digivolve into the Velgra for free from trash. Velgra will usually mill minimum 2 cards, but typically like I've seen it up to 5 cards, depending on what your opponent's board actually looks like and how many times they get Velgramon off and how many times they get Duskmon off. And then end of attack, they pop it. The inheritable of the Duskmon says you can play out one of your Tamers from trash doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be like a specific tamer either. So you can play out the mats, which is why you're running them and stuff. We're gonna go ahead and rewind just a second here, because I didn't really talk about it at all. But we did win because we did have the option to kind of unsuspend our guys and get a lot of checks in. So we did end up taking game 1, though. I think that a lot of that really comes from the fact that we were both surprised at how strong Dominion was when it came to killing things. And it was a pretty big risk on my part as well, just because I would have overflown some amount of memory, which is why I ended up swinging with level 5 first. But back to the purple tan hybrids again, because there's just a lot to talk about with this deck. I was pretty unimpressed with it when I was doing my own personal testing, but then again, I was also playing against myself, just trying to get like a feel for what the deck could actually do. And the variant that Test was playing a lot more combo oriented, whereas mine was a lot more tempo oriented and played a lot more like high end stuff like Venusmon. So being able to watch a more combo oriented variant in practice in person, and in feeling how it can go against a more grindy deck like Dominion, which I feel like even in this game here, I set up a pretty scary board almost immediately, which is, you know, yikesy. Activate Patamon. I whiff again. I whiffed 2 Patamons so far. A bit rough for a guy like me, but it's okay. The mat in this deck is really cool because it can add back your Dustmons, or any of like your like necessary options that you really need. Like if you have something you need to pop, you can just get like a Rivals back, which is kind of cute. But typically you're gonna want to keep your Velgers in trash just because that's where you have the easiest access to them. But yeah, no, my board is insanely good right now. I'm threatening aces, I'm threatening a lot of stuff. He does go into the Dusk, which the Dusk here is insane. The Dusk actually really hampers a lot of the playstyle of what this deck kind of wants to do, which is just immediately changing the Magna into a different color. I can't remember what color he does change it to, because I start adjusting the colors a bit later on. But he did change it into, I think it was purple. Yeah, he changed it into purple, which means I can no longer blast Evo on top of it. And we had to like go through rulings of like what couldn't you blast Evo on top of. So like if, for example, this Seraphimon mentioned Magna and Jamon specifically, we could then blast onto it if it had like a little black text box, even though they would be different colors, because it specifies the name and not the level, nor does it specify the color requirement. Which means like in decks like Imperial, it does end up working around the Dustmon, but even then, like your Pyldras can no longer blast into the fighter mode aces. It can only be the dragon modes. So we ended up just hard playing the Cherubi, setting up a pretty wide board and then threatening lethal immediately. Ghazi's a little scary. He's got Rivals set up. He's, I think, in a pretty good spot at the moment, but again, we will see. I feel like there was something I was saying about Purple Hybrid, about it being like a combo deck and surprisingly competent in these more grindy matchups, more so than I thought it would be. Even not just like trying to tempo out your opponent, but like the mill win con actually is surprisingly scary. And it will be something you have to watch out for. I always just assumed that they would mill themselves out first, but when your whole deck is based around milling both of you, and your opponent is searching their own deck for cards, they're going to be probably going deeper into their deck faster than you in that sense. And once they kind of find their pieces, they no longer have to be playing out like these like searching memory cards and stuff, as well as they have ways to keep getting cards back from trash, so they can keep their deck pretty heftily set there. He did end up milling 5 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. So that was plus 8k, allowing him to swing directly into the Dominion. And so I end up having to proc Barrier to try and prevent that. And then he then ends up procking the end of attack effect to try and pop both of my Magnas, which wouldn't have been a problem for me if I had been able to blast ace on top of one, but him getting a second Duskmon out, really difficult for me to deal with. So here he goes, attacks Velgra, get another chain of effects going on. trash top card because I have to for Dominion effect, then trash top card for Dominion effect again. First one for barrier, first one for protecting the level 5s. And yeah, we're not in a great spot right now. I'm trying to prevent him from getting a lot of memory because I know if he just needs memory at this point to kind of keep things going because he can do another effect of the Dusk and Develger with, I believe, the Matt or Koichi, but I could be wrong. I can't remember. No, I think I'm wrong. I think he just played those both out, so I think we're pretty safe. I could have let the Magna die in that case then. I think it's probably better to let the Magna die. If I'm thinking about it a little bit more now. I think in the moment I was just like, oh damn, he's killing everybody I've got. Alright, double Jack Raid. I got another Matt. Getting back that Death Slinger, popping the True Ace. Oh, he was always popping the True Ace, never popping the Magnus. That makes sense. And yeah, that does prevent me from potentially killing him, which is something he just kind of resigns himself to, is that like, hey, if you've got a way to get a memory and the effect of the, I think it's Holy Excalibur or Final Excalibur, it's one of the two, the 3-cost option that unsuspends my angels, then you've got it. We end up putting a Dominimon into security using the Salamon effect. Here, I'm trying my best to find a way to get lethal, and I for the life of me, am unable to do so. We cannot Digivolve on top of any of our Magnus here either, which is a bit unfortunate. So we're kind of just struggling. We also don't have blocker, so our opponent can just attempt to kill us, even if they don't attempt to mill us. We are only looking down 2 different Duskmons though at the moment, so we can attempt to set up another level 5, like go Angemon on top of the puppy there, the Sala, and then try and find a level 5 off the search. We end up doing a check first to try and draw a little bit off the Dominion, because it doesn't matter too much if he's unsuspended right now. Like, that single card, we're probably just gonna let the guy die. Alright, so here we find lethal. If we let the Magna die in security. If the Magna dies in security, we actually have lethal, because what will happen is that barrier will proc, the Dominimon will play itself out, and then the Dominimon effect, I believe, will trigger because it will see itself technically leaving security, and the alternate effect will trigger gaining a memory, putting us to 3, and then allowing us to unsuspend and start swinging into security again. Though at that point, we will be risking dying at any given point. So what we would do is we would sing with the Salamon, get the check off, and then play the option for 3, not swinging in with that 8k Magna Ace, instead swinging with the Dominion for the last actual security check, and then swinging in for game to try and prevent any shenanigans from killing us. But unfortunately, we couldn't find anything. We're trying to look so desperately for that level 5. We'll take the yellow memory boost, and then I think we say screw it and try and see what we can get going on with a yellow memory boost. It's just gonna go to 3 anyways. Electing to not try and find a level 5 ace. Whether or not that was the correct move, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, Pillow does specify only Digimon, so we can be playing out the Tamers by effect. We do not find a level 5 ace. Even with that, our cards will now go back to the correct coloration. And yeah. There's not much else to say here. I think the game's pretty much set in stone. As long as they're able to get double Duskmon off, we're completely out of interaction. But we will see. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. They will swing in with the Duskmon. Duskmon effect will trigger. Going to Velgar for free. Velgar effect will mill 1 card each. Not a great Velgar effect because everything is currently yellow, but also not the worst. I'm trying to figure out which one is the most optimal one to kind of play around with. We will go ahead and activate the Shadow Seraphim here. I think setting up a blocker to try and prevent the kill is more important. I knew I'd only get 1 ace off. They do then get rid of that guy. If we had a level 5 ace in hand, we could have, elected to play out somebody, but we don't. So this is the most optimal We leave the Salamon out because we wanted to keep it up for a Velgar protection effect. We now no longer have any protection. They attempt to go for lethal with the Uko. We go ahead and block with the Shadow Serafi. At this point, I'm feeling somewhat potentially dead. I'm playing dead. I feel dead because any hybrid literally kills me. Yeah. Yeah. And they're able to get under me completely. It was a really close game. Here we're going to go ahead and go into a game 3. Let's see how this match goes. I think from the testing, I'm pretty sure Purple Hybrid feels a little favored just because they're able to get bigger than you and prevent you from acing comfortably, which is really annoying. And they're able to kind of tear through your security very quickly as well. I had to play the Luxmon in the back. Feels a little unfortunate. Go ahead and Digivolve for 3. I was like, ooh, I can keep turn. Forgot it's not actually a Patamon, so it can't Digivolve for 2. We'll just spend the TK and Kari, gain 1. This Tamer felt pretty okay. Like the consistent access to barrier is really nice, and gaining an extra memory is also kind of cute, but I was overarchingly kind of unimpressed with it. We do get to set up a Dominion though almost immediately, which feels fantastic. Getting a Magnet Ace out there and then just being able to go Dominion on it almost immediately. Feel pretty comfortable. He drew and pitched a track raid. That Koichi on play is just draw 1, discard 1, and the other one is start your main phase. The level 4, the 4 cost one is start your main phase. You can pitch a hybrid card to gain a memory. We're gonna go ahead and end up playing out the Gatomon. I don't even know if that's allowed. Hold on, is that even allowed? Angel, Archangel trait among them picking up the cost. Yeah, I'm just literally cheating. Okay, literally cheating, by the way. Quite actually, literally cheating. Again, I don't, reading the card explains the card. I don't play this game. I don't know what's really going on right now. Where am I? Kind of vibes. Ukomon effect triggers again. They are playing Ignitemon in this version of the list, by the way, which I think is hilarious because of the way that it interacts with Minerva. Is it Minerva or Minerva? I can't remember which one is the child and which one is the adult version. But they are playing the adult version, which plays out from trash, and the Ignite allows them to play out 2. Which, funnily enough, the Velgarmon effect is a on play. So that's a on the spot mill anywhere from like 6 to 10 cards, depending on how many colors your opponent has. So that's pretty good. Deathslinger popped the Gato, which is a little unfortunate. We'll go ahead and play out the Pata, and then I think we dropped the Magna actually. Getting up blocker feels pretty cool. Last game we were lacking our 4s and 5s. This game we're lacking our 6s. Get the swing in here, just get the draw. Just gonna go ahead and speed things up a little bit. Oh, okay, maybe not that much. Alright, whatever. Our security is pretty okay. We're happy with the Kari. I think she has an effect if she's trashed as well, which is cool. I'm not sure if I remember that, but we'll go ahead and Evo into the Cherubi. Cherubi will go ahead play out the Gato, just so that way we can threaten another ace and they can't feel too comfortable about just swinging. And we do have the large blocker as well, which is good. We know our Patamon is gonna fucking whiff though, unless our Magna hits if they do swing, which I believe they will, because why wouldn't you? End up playing out the option card because they meet the requirement just by having one of the Tamers out, and then playing it out for free after adding a Velgar back to hand. I think their current issue is that they're missing Duskmon, which in the testings that we've had so far with this deck, at least from what I saw and what I asked Chester about and what his opinions were, is that at least this version is very Duskmon or bust. I know that you can play some of the other hybrid cards that came out in the set, like the Lomon and the Kaiser Leo. Obviously the Lomon being the best of the two there. because it's just a slightly worse Duskmon, which I think probably would be a nice addition as a way of just having more access to your Velgers. Because it really is Duskmon or bust most of the time. Velgar effect, going ahead and milling 2, 1 for the green and 1 for the yellow. Now they're trying to figure out what is the most optimal thing for them to do. It is specifically an end of attack on the Velgar, so if it does die in the security check, or if it dies in the like effects of my aces are getting blocked, it doesn't actually go off. And so instead of wasting it, they decide not to play into it. We check the security even though we know there's... Oh! I fucking lie. There is. I think I was surprised as well. I always forget the Angemon's there. We're gonna try and think about what we want to place into the security, and then we do set up a pretty nasty board. It is technically lethal on board. We can't gain any memory because of the Ghazi, unfortunately. We would have gained, I believe, a total of 2, which would have gone crazy enough to actually kill my opponent here. But we don't. Unfortunately as well, the hybrids are not, in fact, viruses. So right now, my opponent has 6 checks looking at my 4 security remaining, and I only have 4 security checks threatening on board, assuming nothing crazy happens. I'm trying to figure out what the most optimal thing to do here is. Obviously, we're really sad that the Ghazi ends up stopping us from getting lethal. The floodgates seem pretty good in this format at the moment. I would not shirk the floodgates if you could, just because it seems really valuable to have access to them as a means of slowing down your opponents, just because it feels like everyone's going to be on some version of a combo deck at the moment, which is something that I think something that is worth playing around. Jesus. Currently, we are trying to set up, I think, what will be a pretty valuable turn. We have Barrier from the Tamer. We're going to end up using the option to unsuspend and set up 4 blockers as a means of trying to stop our opponent from killing us. We're at 20 cards as well, so I'm like, oh, I feel pretty safe when it comes to him killing me at the moment. He's only got 4 cards in hand too. Easy peasy. This is gonna be an easy time. 5 security, 4 cards in hand, 4 huge dingus blockers, all with protection from deletion by effect, and then some of them with protection from deletion by battle, as well as a smattering of ace targets. Visual for 2 into Dusk on top of the big Koichi that adds from hand. He adds the Dusk, goes into Velgar for free. We both mill 3 cards. Ends up hitting the Merva. We'll go ahead and blast into the Magna, targeting the guy that's attacking, so that way we can stop the end of turn deletion effect. And now we're trying to figure out what the best thing to block with. We end up using the Cherubimon. And now we're just kind of waiting for our opponent to essentially pass. They're at 3 memory, 1 and then +2 from the memory boost in the back. So if they have more ways of kind of interacting and going off, we know they have a Dusk, so they have another Velgar effect available, but we still have 3 blockers. We're pretty secure in our mind, at least. But something that I think more astute viewers will notice is that we currently have 3 colors on board: yellow, green, purple, and now we have 4 colors on board, which means that this swing will now mill another 4. So in total, they've milled 7 cards from our deck, which is a little scary. Just a tad, just a tad. That's plus 8k, by the way. So nothing we block with will be able to survive. We end up blocking with the Barrier Magna, and then end of turn effect of the Dominion we end up trashing as well. Try and survive. But that's 2 security that guy did. Keep that in mind. That's 2 security for me trying to keep my board alive. We were at 6. Maybe letting him die was better, but also I was a little afraid of them getting an extra some extra memory to like go into like the Duskmon again and go into the Velgermon again. But they can just digivolve their Dusk on top of their Velger for free or for one. For one, my apologies. They end up doing the little combo again, milling. We will go ahead and block. Go ahead and do it again. I believe they gave a color to the Dominion, so I now have 5 colors. We have yellow, green, red, purple, blue. So yeah, that is a 5-color mill. So now they've milled us for 12 cards this turn. They have lethal because they can just go any hybrid in hand for 2, swing security, swing security, swing security, swing security, and that is 4 checks to my single blocker and 2 life. But it doesn't matter because they also have the Merva to go double Velger, mill 10 cards from my deck. So in total, they milled 22 cards that turn. And if we recall what they started with a purple memory boost. And I believe 4 memory. Because let's see, my turn ended with 20 cards in deck. So yeah, they started their turn with 2 memory and a purple memory boost. So one of these gained memory, and that was the only one they ended up activating too. So they didn't even activate both, I believe. So 3 memory allowed them to mill 22 cards from my deck, as well as set up lethal through 4 blockers. Maybe I could have played it better by letting my bodies die. It gives them more memory, but it also takes colors off of my field, which is pretty important. And if had this Angemon died, I would have been able to get the guy back underneath into security as well, or get a guy into security as well, which would have been really impactful. So I think I probably played this turn wrong, but nonetheless, even with me playing it wrong, I felt like just going big and wide. I was guaranteed lethal next turn, almost assuredly. So it was a very surprising turn of events to know that they were able to get off. It was 4 Velgers that turn from 3 memory, plus a memory boost in the back. So yeah, this deck is kind of really good. Later on, we tested it against Imperial, which, if you guys are interested, I think that game is a bit more elucidating to kind of the weaknesses of Purple Hybrid. So if you guys are interested in that kind of game, by all means, let me know in the comments, and I'll just let that go. Otherwise, hopefully, next Tuesday, you guys will be seeing me telling you what the best decks are in the Special Booster and what you can expect to see in the current meta. And I've never been wrong, baby. I've never been wrong. When have I ever been wrong? Name one time. But nonetheless, thank you all for watching, and I truly, truly appreciate you.